Welcome to Talking Trail, a podcast about trail running put on by trail runners. It's supported and sponsored by Summit Gear, best trail running store in the mountains. Today is a really special episode. We've got a UTA specific episode and I'm interviewing Andrew Lee, legendary trail runner from the Blue Mountains, and you'll hear all about his illustrious career, including winning the UTA 100 2 years in a row. He's also won the 6 foot track and completed the 6 foot track 21 times so far, and he's due to line up again this year, and he's also lining up for the UTA 100 again this year. So we cover a lot of ground, how he's stayed in the sport so long, what he does to keep his body and mind healthy for that. And overall, I hope you're going to really enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the interview with Andy. Andrew Lee, legend of Blue Mountains running. Welcome to Talking Trail.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me, mate.
My pleasure. I want to go back to the early days, right? So I know you started in league. A few people might know that Andy and I played in the same footy team from under sevens.
Yeah.
I think for the first few years at Dommy's. And
St. Dominic's, yeah.
Did you go to Cambo after that?
I did, yeah. Good memory, mate. Yeah, went to Cambridge Park and then to St. Mary's.
Ah, okay, yeah.
After that.
And when did you change over to St. Mary's?
Under 15s.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. And how long did you keep playing league for?
To C grade, under 19s. And then I just left it. I sort of lost my passion for footy. Started working.
Mm-hmm.
So that sort of become a bit more of a priority. And then then I came back. When I was about 25, 26, had a season at St. Dom's.
Okay.
Again. Yeah, and that was it. That was my last hurrah.
Just 1 year?
Yeah.
Okay. And that was like the A grade?
Yeah,
then?
A grade at St. Dom's, yeah. So that year of C grade at St. Mary's, I got caught up in A grade. So that was a bit of an experience. Young bloke, 17, 18 I was, playing against some hardheads back in those days.
I bet.
In the Penrith Junior League in A grade. Guys who had, I guess, played great, like,
mm-hmm.
you know.
And coming back.
You know. Yeah, so there was some pretty good old games there, that's for sure.
Yeah, I bet.
Sort of,
I bet. And were you, so obviously when we played together, which was really, really early years, you were like halfback, half 5'8"?
Yeah, halfback.
Is that what you stayed as?
Played hooker.
Okay.
As well, yeah. Played hooker. So transition from halfback into hooker at my St. Mary's days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just like being involved. I found I could probably get more involved, as you probably know. The hookers probably touches the ball more than any other player in the game. So
absolutely.
I just like being involved. Yeah.
Did it take you a bit from giving up playing league and then having a number of years of working because it was an office job?
Yeah.
Yep. And then to play that 1 year, did you always maintain your fitness?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was running before I could walk. I think as a young bloke with my older brother, who was pretty good at sport himself, Brandon.
Brandon, yeah.
There was just always something happening at home, whether it's across the park after school, despite our mum's displeasure. We'd still go over there in our school uniforms and have buttons ripped off. And
I was going to say, really, she would have loved it. From what I remember.
Not displeasure in going out and
playing footy,
but just the fact we're doing in our school uniform.
Damage to the uniform.
Yeah.
I get it.
She was always correcting, fixing up buttons and sewing collars back together and
fair enough,
stuff like that. So no, she was always as you know, back in those days, there was no electronic gadgets to play with. It was just our imagination and playing sport with kids up the street. Down the river, we used to live, grew up in Emu Plains, not far from the Nepean River.
Mm-hmm.
We thought we were Tarzan. One day we were Tarzan, the next day we were Huckleberry Finn, and Huckleberry Finn, I should say, Tom Sawyer, just spending days down the river on weekends. Yeah.
You used to go to the mud baths down the Weir?
Did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Geez, I actually miss the fact that there isn't something like that anymore.
I know.
It was like
it's pretty much all closed off now.
Yeah, but it was like a real rite of passage when you got to a certain age to go there, and some some days you go there, it'd be like 200 or 300 people.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
A lot of people.
completely.
And would walk from home, walk, jog, ride, whatever it took to get there, and then just spend a good part of the day there. You know.
Yeah.
Now it's essentially closed off now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I bought a fixie, like a fixed gear push bike.
Yeah.
And thought, this would be cool. It'd be like the old days,
Yeah.
Before even BMX, when
Yeah.
you just had a fixed gear. And it's so bloody hard
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
up hills and things.
Oh, no. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So you maintained your fitness, gave it a go for 1 year, and then it's like, okay, had that. Then what did you do after that?
Yeah, well, one of the reasons why I gave it up again at like 20, I know that one season, get married, and my wife and I, we had our first child, our eldest, and I thought whilst I still love footy, I still do to this day. I thought if I get an injury, I'm just playing park footy, local A grade, what we're on about $90 a week, $90 a win or something, nothing for a loss.
Mm-hmm.
But thought if I got a bad injury, it's going to put me off work. I was just concerned about that. There was no, so my priorities changed.
Mm-hmm.
Become more family orientated. But I still, as I just touched on before, I was running before I could walk type of thing. And so I always had that, I always enjoyed running, just being active. So I remember those days when Braden, my eldest, was just a toddler baby, newborn. And I'd entered the Sydney Morning Herald half marathon,
Mm-hmm.
and training for that, like, because Braden, as you'd know, with newborns, they're keep up through the night and whatever, all sorts of hours. I was sometimes doing training runs at like 11 p.m.,
Mm-hmm.
1 a.m.,
Because you were taking him out of the house? Or just because you're awake?
because I was awake,
Right.
and that's another thing too. I took leave without pay. While my wife went back to work,
Mm-hmm.
as well. So I was like a stay-at-home dad
Mm-hmm.
for a period of time there. Yeah, so I was in amongst all that. So I would sleep when he was sleeping, during the day, and just sort of accommodating or doing my training around the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And had you moved to the mountains by that?
No, we were living at Glenmore Park.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So after we got married, we lived there. It was a new estate at the time,
Mm-hmm.
Glenmore Park. And we spent 4 or 5 years there. Then moved up to the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So when did you get into trail running?
I think 2001. I think was my first 6 foot track. So it was 6 foot track.
Okay.
My debut, so to speak.
What did you do for a qualifier? Or did they have qualifiers back then?
If they did,
Probably not.
I probably lied. My form.
I mean, 2001. That was when you just had to
fill out a form,
out of the
staple a check to all the money order back to the back of it, and send it off.
That's right, yeah, and it was
and just wait a few weeks until you got. I forget how we got notified. Our entry. We may have had to put some call. I can't remember. Yeah.
2001. And how'd you go your first year?
Oh, well, put it this way: after finish, I'll say never again. And in my training, which I thought was fantastic, was just my long run involved running from we lived at East Blaxland down the Great Western Highway to St Mary's and back again.
All right, that's a fair run.
Yeah, just near the old Cobham Youth Detention Centre there. Yeah. But
from East Blaxlands, that would have been. I know I've done from the river to up to there, like near there. It's now called Caddens.
Yeah,
and I think that
Caddens.
was like a 20k run. So you must have been doing like a 30.
Yeah, about that 28.
Yeah,
but it was pretty, except for Old Bathurst, running back up Old Bathurst Road, it was pretty flat. Yeah, and I'd also read and heard that there were these 2 big hills, and which there are in 6 foot tracks. So come race day, I thought, the hill just on approach to the 10 kilometre mark, I think it's called Pinnacle Hill.
Yep.
So I thought that was the first of the big climbs.
Yeah.
So good. Hill number 1's done. Got that out of the way, beauty. Get down the river, climb up to Mini Saddle. That's hill number 2, beauty. That's the last one. all downhill from now. Well, the pluviometer climb had other things to say to me, and then the Black Range chewed me up and spat me out. Yeah.
Do you remember what their time was for that race?
4:45, 4 hours 45 or something.
That's still pretty good for a
Yeah, but
novice run, and,
yeah,
and
yeah,
being getting that so wrong. Like,
yeah, yeah. It was just, yeah, I know. Yeah, it was pretty awful after finished. Yeah. Yeah, and then the following year, I thought, that's right. After a few days, or never again. After a few days, I wanted to be back, come back and better that time, and which I did by about 2 or 3 minutes the following year.
and you've been there pretty much every year since.
Yeah, and I gradually improved over the years. Yeah,
You certainly did.
Yeah,
you got the win in 2008.
no,
right? Or...
11. So
okay.
yeah.
So that you went back. Okay,
Yeah.
I was thinking the sequence was 6-foot win and then the North Face.
But I had a second, which ironically I came second to Ben Arden when he broke the record in 2009.
Right. Okay.
It was quite funny because Ben I was with him till about Megalong Road, then he just gradually pulled away, and he was with Matt Robbie and Alex Matthews. I was sort of with those guys to the river, and then just Ben just up those climbs, up to Mini Saddle and Pluviometer, lost sight of him. And then I overtook Matt Robbie somewhere, I think up Mini Saddle, and then I could see Alex in the distance, and I just couldn't see Ben. I thought, wonder what's happened to him. Is he
he stepped off the course injured?
Yeah, is he taking the wrong turn? Because he, no disrespect, I thought and then coming just to the finish, I overtook Alex going down that last descent. And then for a moment there, I thought, I may be in the lead here or not. Then get to the finish and Ben's there, his feet up having a cup of tea and bickies. He'd finished 8 minutes earlier.
So was that your PB?
Yes.
The 3:23?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, like, if that was you weren't that far behind, but you're right, 8 minutes. But
yeah. That was a phenomenal race by him, Ben.
Well, proven by the fact that the year that you won the race outright, which is 2011, you had done a slower time than that.
Yeah. 3 hours 30. Oh no, a bit slower. 3:35, which by winning times is pretty slow. As far as around that time, it was a good period of winning times back then. Ben's of course, you had Stu Gibson, who I think bettered Ben's time. Vlad Shatrov, Tony Federini, Paul Arthur.
Yep.
Those guys. What a good time.
Even Alex, Alex that you just talked about.
Yeah, of course.
Matthews,
3 hours 20.
He won it.
Yeah. 3 hours. So my time is a bit embarrassing. 3:30, but I'll take it.
I was happy to see that he towed the start line and finished a couple of weeks ago the Mount Solitary Ultra.
Yes.
Alex Matthews.
Yeah. No, he's a good guy.
So it's good that he's still up there. And I think he was. If he wasn't top 10, he was top 20.
Right.
Obviously, he's working hard at his day job these days.
Yeah.
So you'd done 6 or 7 years of 6-foot racing, but then the North Face 100 was created.
Yeah.
And so, did you do the first year?
No.
You didn't?
No,
okay.
I didn't even know it existed. Yeah, okay. 2008 that was, No, so my first one was 2009.
Yep. Which you won outright.
Yes.
Yep.
Jagged it. I think I just got lucky.
You think?
I think, well, yeah. Well, I'd never done 100K before, and I
don't think many of us had when that first came out. I think,
and my mate Shane Simpson sort of coerced me to go in it. I'd never heard of the event, And so I ummed and ahed, and okay, why not? And I just looked upon it as just one big adventure, just 2 50-kilometre loops. I looked at the first, that first section, to Nelly's and back up to 6 foot. And those days, the back half was in reverse as to what it is today.
Yes.
And then, then it's just and the fourth checkpoint 4, which is now the aquatic centre, was the Katoomba Falls Oval back then.
Yeah.
And so I thought once I get to there, then it's just back to the Fairmont from there. Easy, I thought, which is far from.
Well, that's funny because I remember it must have been my second year, which was 2010, or could have been 2011. And Dean Simpson, I was running on with him, Shane's brother, and we were on that last. So we'd left QVH, and we had I think back then it was 11 Ks to go. It was like around about 89
Ks.
It
was. You go up Tablelands Road and left down Horden.
Yeah, and anyway, Dean's like, come on, we were already, we were back in the bush. We were headed around. We'd gone past Wentworth Falls. Yeah, and he's like, come on, we can get under sub 14. We can get sub 14. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I'm running along with him. In the end, he dropped me. I said, mate, you just go. I can't do it. I can't do it. Anyway, I think I did a 14:18, so I missed it by 18 minutes. And then I saw him in the Fairmont, like just inside, getting warm. I said, oh, how'd you go? Because I did. I think he did like a 14:12 because nothing, nowhere close to it. Like we just had a good laugh because it just seemed like we were so close. And you think, I've only got 3 or 4 Ks, but it was like down to that Lillian's Bridge and Tour Salome, and it was just like up and down these steep stairs the whole way. It was you just couldn't get fast running.
No, well, I didn't know this at the time. So that first one, I didn't know it at the time, but I'd have got into the QVH checkpoint. I had about a 15-minute lead again, and then I look back on the results afterwards, and then I ended up winning by about 2.5 minutes.
Wow!
So Tim, my apologies,
Cochrane.
Tim Cochrane, yes, had put 13 minutes on me in that last leg, and I was like, I was gone. I had nothing. Like that round near that Lillian's Bridge.
Well, he was one of those guys that had done big runs before.
Yeah,
like
right.
100K or 100 mile. Like I know he'd done G&W and I don't know when Glasshouse got started, but I know, sort of back in the days of cool running, and there was a lot, some of those events that were the early days, and he was winning or podiuming back in those days. So he was a very good runner, but he'd done the long stuff, and I think he even did, and may have even won Coast to Cossie.
Right.
So he was definitely a renowned athlete. So you did 09, and I'm wearing the North Face 100 shirt in honour of your 2 wins. So you won it in 09 and then backed it up in 2010.
Yeah.
Now 2010 it was an unusual win and hasn't been done again. In that you and Stu finished sort of arm in arm across the finish line, which I know people like Lazarus Lake, hate that idea and said, no, it should be like a fight to the death and that. But so obviously incredibly good runner. Obviously the two of you had a lot of respect for each other as well. At what point were you running together that year, and at what point did you have the conversation around, not making it a dogfight and let's finish together?
Okay, so I from the start I went out hard, and I was out on my own for a bit more than a bit. I think a few kilometres before we got to Dumfries, and then that's when Stu caught up with me. Before that final turn, when that I don't know the name of the fire trail, but you're on that fire trail that brings you down from that Medlow Gap. You head back towards Dumfries, and you go like a hard left.
Bellbird?
That's it. Yeah, Bellbird, yeah. And just before, maybe a kilometre or two before there, he'd caught up with me. And so we're just running side by side.
So that's still like 35, 36 Ks in? So.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So pretty much from there, long story short, we tried to pull away from each other a lot. Mm-hmm. Like I'd get away from him, then only for him to come up with me, and it was like we're like a yo-yo, literally trying to get away from one another. However, at the same time, we would share conversation. Like sometimes it was just like being two mates out on a run for at times.
Yep.
To the point we was going up Nelly's Glen. I was cramping, so he gave me some salt tablets. So
because he was from Melbourne.
Yeah,
isn't he?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have really known him.
No, I'd heard of him at the time. I'll tell you something sort of funny in a moment, but I just loosely heard of him in the lead up, But again, back in those days too, there was no social media.
Yep.
Now I guess it was just like word of mouth, back then.
Yeah, you couldn't follow someone on Strava.
No, or Instagram or whatever, none of that. We're just like a yo-yo. At times, however, when we would link up, we would talk, like you and I are now type of thing, but at the same time, we're racing to win, or get ahead of each other. I remember at one point, I got away from him. I thought, I think I've broken him now. Then that was going down the giant stairs into Lura Forest before we start the downhill into Kadumba and all that. And then only for him to catch up with me again when you start on the open fight around in the sewerage works. He caught up with me again there. And again, I was trying to push the pace there, and he just stayed with me. And then fast forward down to about Jamison Creek. I didn't know of his exploits at the time. He'd done the Marathon de Sable. I think he did quite well in that. I found out later he had all these other good results in various events, that involved a lot of elevation. But again, I didn't know that at the time. And I'm trying to, having done the UTA or North Face 100 back in the day, and also done some training. I wanted to train on the course a bit that year. I was aware of what was ahead, the climb up to Queen Victoria Hospital. And I'm just trying to psych him out like, have a go at the climb. We've got to look at that climb. We've got to get up there, It's a long way up, isn't it? Things like that. And he's probably licking his lips, thinking, rubbing,
thinking that you're getting into a bad headspace.
Yeah. I reckon he's, And then, so then we just, just trudged our way up there to the hospital, to the aid station. And then from there, it was like game on. Like, got in and out of the aid station as quickly as possible. Again, we left only moments with one another. And then I remember we were going pretty hard along Megalong Road into Horden.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it was like, I thought I've got to get the front spot, knowing that because I did a bit of training on that section.
Tablelands Road, you mean?
Yeah, we went up Tablelands, turned left into Horden.
Yep.
And I'd done a bit of training, knowing how I lost 13 or so minutes to Tim. Tim gained 13 minutes on me the previous year, so I was keen to make a mention in that area. So I did a bit of training. I knew probably every step, every rock.
Did you go into that? Well, I'll call it program, build up to the 2010 North Face 100 with a goal of beating the time that you'd set in 2009 and have, did you have all the splits worked out what you wanted to achieve?
No, it's funny. I always go into an event that just give it my best, and whatever result that brings will, great. Although I must admit, I wanted to get under 10 hours. Which we did. We got, I think we ended up doing 9:54, something like that, 9:55. But that was, in terms of time, that's all I wanted to do. But it was because I did 10:22 the year before.
Right.
Yeah, that the year before too included, I think, about a 7 or 8 minute wait at Megalong Road Aid Station 2 while my gear was getting checked.
Oh,
Yeah, had a gear check, and then I was stuffing around a bit there as well, and that ended up being 8 minutes. So I thought, okay, if I improve my aid station time and also get better in that section, from that last 11 k's, hopefully I can get under 10 hours. So that was, in terms of time, I didn't really have any splits in mind. I never have been that type of. Yeah, I've never really analysed a race in advance with splits and all that. I've just
got the feel.
yeah.
So the work that you did to improve that last 11 k's, that's all stairs. Is that where you developed your skill of being able to run 2 and 3 step stairs downhill?
Yeah. So what I was doing for that too, I'd run from Glenbrook up to Lura, and that was one way of overcoming that section. I didn't do any specific sessions or train on that any specific stair sessions, but I just wanted to get strong. And to overcome that. And I think it worked.
Well, we'll come back to the steps and your descending skills there. But all right, so you run along with Stu. You're trying to drop him. So were you stronger on a certain thing and he was strong? Like, were you stronger on descending and he would pick you up?
Yeah, I can't quite remember.
Going up,
or I just know I wanted to get in the front spot, front
Yep.
position, to get ahead of him, knowing that a lot of it's a single track. There's not much room to pass. And I was only going to let him pass, so to speak, if I was really struggling and it was obvious that he's going better than me. I'll just let him go, type of thing. But whilst I was feeling fresh and strong, which I was, I wanted that front spot. But it was just there. And so fast forward to Lillian's Bridge. We started that conversation, I think, before Lillian's Bridge. Maybe we're around the back of the, from the conservation up here. Is it the nature reserve, nature track?
Yeah, nature track, yeah.
Around behind the BP servo there at Wentworth Falls. Around there, I think maybe, I can't remember whether who brought it up. Yeah, about that, finishing together. And I think it was just out of mutual respect, because we were for like a good part of 60 Ks trying to drop each other and we just couldn't. So that's pretty much how we come to that agreement, And then I think by Lillian's Bridge, we called it a truce, or maybe a little bit up from there. Yeah.
But did you both then keep the hammer down?
No, we still pretty
much
off a bit. Eased off a bit. In the head, it was a bit less stressful. But we did ease off, I think, a little bit, but we still tried to finish strong. Yeah, we just weren't going as strong. Yeah. So, just out of mutual respect, I think.
Very good. Yeah. So out of those 2 wins, is that when your face came knocking?
No, it was a little bit later. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah,
okay.
A little bit later. Maybe 18 months or so later. Yeah.
So more like 2012.
Thereabout, 2012, 2013. Yeah.
So then you'd had another win, but this time at 6 foot. And I know from your career that you did some overseas races and a lot of ones around Australia.
Yeah.
You've gone to quite a lot of races. So although 6 foot you've done currently 21 times, this year will be 22.
Yeah. Fingers crossed we kick off on the 6th of September.
Yeah. Are you doing UTA 100 this year again?
Yeah. This will be
so this will be your number 15?
15, yeah.
Yeah. So have you missed any of them?
Yeah, in 2022. It was meant to be
the October one.
October one.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was all set down to do the one in, as planned in May. But, as you know, they got deferred to October. But we had a family holiday booked and paid and everything up to Hamilton Island. So,
family comes first.
Yeah. So, hence I didn't do the
UTA that year.
The October one, yeah.
I know I was going down the track of other races, but having done 21 6 foots out of probably what, 24 possible years now,
Yeah,
25, because I know
yeah. This would
I'm in
have.
the same boat. I've missed a few
Yeah,
that have been cancelled,
yeah.
for different reasons. But
Mm.
and now to have done 14, and you would have probably done 15 if it wasn't for that family holiday. Does that sort of suit your personality to just go like, this is my race, or these are my two races, and I just want to keep backing up year after
Yeah,
year?
yeah. I suppose so. Just I love both events. If I'm to know which one's my favourite, one year it'll be 6 foot, the next year it's UTA, vice versa. And but essentially about being a local events as well. I just love running in general, but the fact that those two events are in my backyard, and it's a really great camaraderie. At both. So yeah, just love it. Just keep. And now I want to get to 24 at least, 6 foot at least.
Yeah, become a living legend.
Yeah, and
Well, you're not far off that. You'll
no,
only be a couple of
and
years away.
yeah, and I've got to stay ahead of Terry.
Terry Meehan.
Terry Meehan.
Oh,
He's one ahead of me.
well, he's on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is he?
No, sorry.
Oh, he's one behind. He's on 20.
I know Terry. I got that wrong. Sorry.
Yeah.
Terry's, I think, keen to stay ahead of me.
Right. So he is in front.
He's done one more than me.
Okay.
Yeah. So Terry can't let me catch him.
Uh-huh.
We have
And then Spud, Phil Murphy's just one behind, I think.
Is he? Yeah.
There's a few coming through.
Yeah. So no, I love both of the events, and I'll continue to do them as long as the legs can hold out, and they're going all right at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will come to that because I want to talk about longevity in sport.
Yeah.
And that. But so when did I noticed from your bio that you went to the World Champs at Pikes Peak in the US?
Yes. Yeah.
What year was that?
Oh, 2010.
Okay.
Yeah, Pikes Peak.
So how did you get to make that team? Was it from
That was
North
Aura.
Face or from
Aura, Australian Ultra Runners Association. Yeah, we're in the Australian. Brendan Davies and I went over. Yeah. So fortunately, got selected in that, and then.
But was that from your 6 foot win or from your North Face win?
That good
made
question.
You
I don't know.
Leading
I got a
contender
letter
for that.
saying, yeah. So I don't know. I can't quite remember. I'd also the year before, I'd also made the same side or team with Ben Arden, and I think that was I can't remember where that was in Europe,
like
somewhere,
Switzerland or somewhere over that way. Yeah,
but I didn't go. And also so I've been fortunate to be selected a few times, but only the once have I actually gone. Yeah.
I also noticed that you've gone to Leadville.
Yes.
Which year did you do that?
2016.
Okay. So I was going to say not that long ago, but
we're
getting close to 10 years ago now.
Yeah, I know, but still fresh in my memory. Yeah, what an event that was.
So was it Shane that put the seed in your head about that?
Yeah, we both went over. Yeah, but that was a great event. Hard, obviously, and got it done.
How did you find? Did the altitude?
That's the other element. I took into consideration, but not enough. In hindsight, if I went back there again, I'd probably approach it a bit differently.
Like go 2 weeks out?
No, during the race itself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, during the race. I think my approach, I went to it doesn't simulate it exactly. I went to did some training in altitude chambers.
Really?
Wow. Not quite the real thing, but and I did something similar for Pikes Peak.
Mm-hmm.
Did some training at altitude chambers, just on the.
Because that's Colorado, is it?
Yeah,
Pikes Peak.
Yeah, in a place called Manitou Springs, which is near Colorado Springs. Yeah, so and Leadville's obviously in Colorado as well. So I did. The altitude chambers were adequate, but don't quite simulate the real thing.
Where did you have to go to do it?
There used to be a place in St. Mary's. I don't think it's there. Valley Fitness, I think it was called.
That had an altitude.
Yeah.
That's pretty advanced, even for
Yeah.
2016.
Yeah, like
I know there's a
2010
few
I
now.
was doing it there
2010.
too.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, that's right.
So used to go down there and on the treadmill or exercise bike and give that a go for an hour. I'd do that before work. Drive down there. I'd get down there, leave home about 4:30. 20-minute drive, do an hour, then go home and get a quick shower and go to work.
Mm-hmm.
And but just I wasn't because the that in Pikes Peak it was meant to be in the marathon, but we got changed to the half marathon, which is just the
Oh, is that? Yeah, I was going to say
straight up. Yeah, but I don't know why they changed it, but anyway they did. So that was over and done with in 2.5. I think it took me 2 hours 40 minutes for 21k. Yeah, but yeah, packs a punch. And then so with regard to the altitude there, I wasn't too badly affected. But with Leadville, that sort of affected me a bit more, I think.
But Leadville, did you do the miler there?
Yeah.
So was that your first miler?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so you got two things going on there. One is like stepping up to from 100k to 100 miles. So there's an extra 60 k's.
Yeah.
And then also having to battle the high altitude there.
Yeah.
So which do you think was harder, battling the altitude or battling the extra distance?
Oh, probably a combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 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 I'd probably go out if was to go there again. Go for more even effort.
Does that mean, so you went out too hard too early?
Yeah, I think in hindsight, yeah. Not that I was trying to stay within myself, but just probably needed to just drop it a touch more, or a touch less, depending which way you look at it. Yeah.
So had you done any other milers since then?
No, that's been my one and only.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Recently, I've been umming and ahhing about upgrading to the UTA miler, but I'll just stick to the 100k, and then I've decided, so I'll look at doing the miler next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you heard it here first.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I was pretty close to to transferring across, but as I said, I'll just stick to the 100k for now.
Very good. So the North Face came knocking in 2012 then?
Yeah, around a bit. I can't remember 2012, 2013-ish. Yeah.
And then you became a sponsored athlete.
Yeah, ambassador, yeah.
So how much involvement did you have with North Face at the time?
How much at the time? Not much, except, just doing those races we talked about before.
So you get some kit, shoes?
Yeah, get some kit and shoes. Yeah, just appear in events and, nothing too strenuous. They've been great support.
Well, you're still a North Face athlete now, aren't you?
Yeah, awesome support.
So that's been a long time.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I can't thank them enough. Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's good. Did you have any other sponsors?
No.
No?
No. So it's quite funny. I went into their store, in their city store, and I bought like a pair of shoes and a fleece top at the time. Where I work in the city, their Pitt Street store was just up the road from where I work. And that's how it was. Just went in there one day. There was one of the guys there who I'd recognised, and he knew me from the events. And then a few weeks later, I got a call, and so the rest is history. I've been involved with them ever since.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
I've still got that fleece top.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's still in pretty good condition actually. Yeah.
Well, they do make good gear. Yeah. They do make good gear.
Yeah.
So, out of all of the races that you've done that are away from the Blue Mountains, what ones have you really enjoyed?
I've actually enjoyed them all, but I'm being picky. Well, I did like Leadville, despite how hard that was. I did really enjoy that. They've all been great. Like I've done Tarawera.
So what did you do? 100k at Tarawera?
Yeah.
And what year was that?
2019. Did that. I enjoyed that. I've done the Blackall 100 up there on the Sunshine Coast. That's a great event. Yeah, that's really good. Run by the guys from Run Queensland. Awesome event. Recommend any of their events.
You did the 100K there? That's a 100K race?
Yeah. Yeah, they're a great group of guys there that organise that. Yeah, I've done the Surf Coast Century. That's a good event. I really enjoy that. Yeah, I've just forgotten now other ones, but yeah. But yeah, being Leadville 100, yeah, was fantastic experience. You know, you sort of learn a lot about yourself in that. What would it take me? 24 hours, 40 odd minutes or so. Yeah, in a whole day, you learn a lot about yourself. You know, I remember that you get to the halfway point, a place called Winfield. That's 80 k's in, and that was pretty hard getting back out of there. I got there. It's quite weird. I got there feeling okay, but then I sat down to. They were saying beware of the chair, and I sat down, and it's hard to get back out of it. Yeah, and then upon leaving it, a few more kilometres, you've got to get back up and over Hope Pass, which is the highest part of the race.
Because you do that twice, don't you?
Yes.
You go out, up over, and then you come back.
You up and down it, the other side to Winfield, get to Winfield, turn around and go back. And I was at the bottom of Hope's Pass looking, and I was just leaned up against a tree, and I'm looking up, thinking, I've got to get up there. Then I realised, well, no one else is getting me up there, except me. It's only one way up, but so got going again, and I've actually got a bit of a second wind when there's an aid station at the top, and I actually had a concoction. When it was funny at that aid station, I was just got some drink and whatever, and a lady was making soup for me, chicken soup, getting some chicken soup for me. It's just on dusk. And while she was getting that for me, I was picking up these pretzels and salty chips and the like, just wolfing them down. And then I was realising, this is taking a bit of time. So I just chucked the chips and those pretzels in with the soup because I wanted to get going by this stage. So I just wolfed that down. Just, pretzels, chips and soup, chicken soup all together, mixed it in and just down the hatch. That actually tasted all right. So I made another batch. And then... then I got going, and then that actually gave me a bit of a kick. I think it must have been all the salt. All of a sudden of
sodium.
Yeah. So I got a bit of a kick, and then get to the next aid station at a place called Twin Lakes, and get in there. I was still feeling okay, and then there's a guy there, and he just cut me on the shoulder. He's got this bib called Pacer on it. He just asked me, would you mind if I help pace you? Because in this event, Leadville 100, I don't know if they still do it today, but you can get people volunteer to be pacers, for those who don't have a pacer. And I didn't have one, and his name was Sunshine. And he was great, fantastic, kept me company, he had all the supplies. He'd come prepared with, and he had no idea what run he was going to be pacing. Picked up some hillbilly from the Blue Mountains, So he was fantastic. Kept me company through the night, and he was running ahead to get me. I told him about me pretzel and soup concoction. So he was running ahead to the aid station, getting one for me, bringing it back. So that was pretty much my diet for the next, for the rest of the race. Plus his little energy cookies that he'd made, homemade energy cookies. Energy bars, whatever they were. Yeah. So that was a pleasant surprise in hindsight. Yeah, I thought, I won't need a pacer. But he was great company. Yeah.
So when you went over, was it just you and Shane, or?
Yeah, and Belinda, Shane's wife.
Yeah.
And so.
So you didn't really have a crew.
No.
There
So I
anyway.
was just relying on the aid stations. Yeah, which is more than adequate. There's it was quite a big smorgasbord of stuff there. So I was otherwise happy with that. But just to have the company, I didn't realise just to have the company of someone getting you through those dark bits, or pardon the pun, the dark bits going through the night, and the mind sort of going elsewhere and, just keep you on task. Yeah, keep your spirits up. Yeah, so he was fantastic.
So, interesting because we're talking about diet and nutrition. So, if you started back in 2001 doing 6 foot, and then you did your first 100K race in 2009, very successfully, mind you. What was your nutrition like back then?
Well, I'd always eaten pretty healthy, so my normal nutrition is pretty good, relatively healthy. But with regard to race nutrition, compared to what's available today, it was hardly anything, really. I remember taking some lollies, the old, what are those space bars? Remember those?
Yeah. That you'd snap in half like a Kit Kat. Yeah.
Yes. Space bars, bananas, chips, whatever was at the aid stations, and just and we didn't have those packs either that with the hold the soft flask in the front of the vest these days. Mine was a it's almost like a camping sort of pack. Wasn't a really specific or dedicated race vest that you have now, with all the strategically placed pockets and zippers and holders for soft flask and the like. It was just like a hiking pack, really. And I with a repository for the bladder, the water bladder, the hose coming out, that was it. And I also had my old favourite, like water belt, with held a 600ml bottle.
Yep.
Which.
So is that what you would race 6 foot with?
Yeah, that's right. Or sometimes I've done 6 foot without anything. I've just relied on aid stations.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's 2009 one. I just relied on cups of water at the aid station. That was it. Yeah.
Did you have gels?
No.
Then? No.
No, just water.
Just water.
Yeah.
And whatever lollies and chips and whatever they might have. No, just water.
Yeah, because a lot of my training runs, I do a lot of my training from up the Oaks, from Glenbrook to Woodford to Murphy's Glen. They were just straight out of bed, no breakfast, just with water. Yeah, just with 600, 800ml bottle of water. That'd be 38, 39 Ks. That would be it. So I think my body just adapted to that. Yeah.
Yeah, like Mike McKnight. Have you followed that Bronco Billy, Jeff Browning?
No.
And the way he advocates for using your fat stores and stuff?
No.
Okay. Oh.
No, that was just, I've never got into the science of it all. Just something how I used to get the train from home, Warramoo down to Glenbrook, get off, run up to Woodford, get the train back home. Then I'd have eaten something to eat. And the kids were young too. I was coaching my son's footy team. I just grab whatever, go off to footy coaching, coaching the side, an hour or two later. Yeah, it was a pretty busy time in my life, actually. Coaching my son's footy side, just trying to train for 6 foot. And, yeah.
Because you've used the run commute a lot, quite successly in your training over the years, where you like getting off a few stations.
Yeah, I'll get off at Lapston
and
run to Woodford. Home, and sometimes I'll make some.
Sometimes from Emu Plains.
Sometimes from Penrith. And I'd make some. If I got off at Lapton, I'd make some like longer versions of it too. I'd extend out to. Go out to Mount Riverview a bit, up Rusden Road a bit more.
Yep.
Go a bit of a longer way as my fitness started to increase. Yeah. Because that was the only way I could get in the mileage, I'd run at lunchtime and then run home.
Double days.
Yeah.
Doing double days before the Ingebrigtsens.
Yeah. Yeah, so I never used to think too much about it either. I just did it. Yeah.
So you were running at lunchtime. So I don't know if you still do, but you used to run Corporate Cup.
Yes.
That's what it's called.
Still do that.
And that's pretty willing, like some pretty tough speed, like fast speeds.
Yeah.
There, you reckon that's what kept you in the front of the pack doing that
Possibly.
sort of speed sessions?
Possibly.
Because that was,
I don't know.
every Wednesday or
Every second Wednesday. So the
Wednesday?
Corporate Cup, I think there's 4 series a year, and each series is 6 runs, and they're spaced roughly 2 weeks apart.
Mm-hmm.
So each series goes for 12 weeks, thereabouts. Yeah, it's just 6K in the city there.
And is that still going?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
I used to do that. Do you ever do Pain in the Domain?
No,
I think used to be
but
on a Tuesday,
they still do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. You said the Pain and Domain guys, as well as the Hurt squad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they I think go Tuesdays or Wednesdays. You see those boys running around as well. Yeah, yeah. But I love to do either one of those. But my lunchtime vary. You know, some days probably I won't have a lunch break, and there's other times I will, and it might not be until they're done and dusted. You know.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah, because you sort of had to stop working about 11:45 or something in time. Get changed and get down to the
with
domain.
the Corporate Cup though, I quite enjoy that. I look and yeah. So I'll try and make the effort if I can, to get there, work permitting, to get there. I've done quite a few now, but so I enjoy it. Yeah.
Well, that'd be an understatement if you've been doing that many, because you would have been doing Corporate Cup for 15 years or more, 20 years.
Yeah, that's under my official name too. I've done a few under other people's names, filling in for blokes who couldn't go. He couldn't run
like
for
that
whatever
work for
reason.
your company? Like, is it because it was a company-based thing, wasn't it?
It's funny. Yeah, it is. But I've never. I work for the Department of Defence. So I've never ran for the Department of Defence. I ran for and now with the Australian Museum, but before that was Veteran Affairs. And how I got into that was we used to have a touch football comp for the Defence Department was in. We used to play down at the Domain, and there were some boys from the Veteran Affairs who played for us, would fill in for us. I think one of my teammates who was friends with a couple of guys who worked at Veteran Affairs. And they also had a team in the Corporate Cup, so that's how I got in. That's how I got into the Corporate Cup. You know, I'd fill in for one or two of those guys under their names, and then an actual opening one year became available. So then I started running under
registered.
So there's probably, I don't know, 20 to 30 I've done under other people's names. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So just getting back to doing UTA and all the stairs, so you are quite famous or infamous for your ability to run downstairs very quickly, missing second and third steps. And I remember standing on Emu Plains train station, and you must have been late for a train. Like the train had come in,
right,
and then you come flying down. And you were like, I think you're only landing on every third or fourth step coming down. And everyone else at the bottom is just watching this guy come flying down, going, how the hell did he do that without breaking his neck, And then, so I had seen you doing that in action. And then I think someone filmed you, might have even been Lillian's Bridge or one of the bridges on the course.
Yeah.
And they actually put it in the promo videos of you coming down. So was that something that you'd thought, this is how I could be faster and then practiced it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it's a rare skill.
I don't know. It's just
a pretty daredevil skill, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just something I've always done. I've never really thought about it. I've just done it like a lot of my stuff in running. I don't really give it too much thought. Just get out there and do it. And what works, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, and then if it doesn't, I'll try and look at alternative, ways of going about it. But sometimes it hasn't quite paid off, because if you don't get it right, if you haven't conditioned yourself for that, you can bring yourself undone early in an event. So I think, and that comes with confidence. If you put that into training, it builds not only strength but confidence as well. And also as I'm getting older, I didn't really do it so much then, a little bit, but I'm doing a lot of hip mobility and agility stuff these days. So just to keep pace with that, so to speak. and that holds me in good stead. With downhill, not just stairs, also downhill running itself. Yeah.
So, let's dive into that. So, what sort of exercises are you doing in this sort of hip
I don't know what you
mobility and
call them,
strength?
but yeah, just
Oh,
don't know what you call them, but I'll just be at home and on the floor, just doing hip strength and mobility, agility.
they're like bridges and things, or
Bridges, to swing the leg around. I don't know what you call them. I do a bit of research on YouTube, Google, whatever. Again, what works. I try a lot of different things. What works, I'll stick with that. If it doesn't, or if I find it quite uncomfortable, I won't do it. Yeah.
But well, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've always done, sort of some strength work to supplement and support your long distance running. So you've always done squats and deadlifts and things like that with the
Not
barbell,
so much,
or
just some in the backyard. I've got some just free weights. A couple of times a week. I won't really do the deadlifts too much because every time I do, I must have a bad technique. So I find that my back's strained and just pulls up sore every time I do it. So I try and avoid them, but everything else I seem to get away with and pull up all right.
So that's been a fairly consistent mode of training all along, or like going back to your footy days? Or?
Oh, no, not necessarily the footy days. It was just more... I'd always what I used to call body maintenance, just a couple of times a week, nothing too much, just to stay strong, I suppose, agile, and that's what I think helps keep me going now. Yeah.
Any other tips for longevity? I mean, you've been now at pretty much the top of your sport for what we call it, 22 years.
Yeah. With regard to the strength work, I'm actually doing heavier stuff now, like heavier squats, lunges, and just with the legs. Yeah, just heavier. And that seems to be going all right. Yeah.
And what do you do sort of nutrition and fueling wise these days compared to the just water in the old days? Are you still...
Oh, yeah, it's probably... Yeah, I'll still do that, those runs to Woodford. That'll be just on water because they take me between 3.25, 3.5 hours. So anything longer than that, I'll need to take nutrition with me. And often that's just a handful of gels, some electrolyte sort of tablets, salt tablets,
Just to ward off cramping more than fueling.
Yeah. In fact, I cramped pretty badly in a recent run. I did the Buffalo Stampede Marathon and I cramped up there pretty bad.
Oh, that was this year? Like recently?
This year, a few weeks back now. So I haven't cramped like that in a long, long time. Yeah. So I got to one aid station. I wasn't expecting the cramp. We got to one aid station and they had the old Saxa table salt.
Oh yeah.
So I just poured a bit in my hand and it was a bit rough. But just got a handful of salt down it. Yeah, it was a bit, as I say, a bit rough, but I got enough down, I think. And then I come good with regard to cramps. And then the cramps started to come back towards the end of the race, but I couldn't find any more sacks of table salt. Yeah.
All right. Any other things you've changed over the years?
Not really. I should, with regard to that nutrition, I've got to get better at that. Because I still love the sport. I still try and get the best out of myself. That's what really, I don't care what result that brings me in a race, what time it gets me. I just want to do the best I can. I know that I'm possible or capable of doing. But I just know that I should. I've got to get better at my nutrition game. I've done too many events or even training, like I've just touched on with the bare minimum. I've got to get better at practicing that. Yeah. But I guess I'm old school. You and I come from, started this caper well before gels and, the stuff that's available now is just all solid stuff. Yeah. Which can be a bit of a pain to carry. I like to do these long runs with the bare minimum if I can. But then come these big races like the ultras, like anything beyond 50 Ks. That's where that practice, I think, would come in real handy for me. You know,
Practicing your nutrition better.
yeah. Just getting that regular, carbs into me. I tend to leave it too late, or I forget. Even though I tell myself I'll have a reminder on my watch, I'll end up forgetting. I'm feeling good at the moment. I'll have that next aid station or the next few kilometres, then I'll forget. Or
because you're just not used to it because you're not doing it regularly in training.
That's right. Yeah, so that's brought me undone a few times too.
And I was always intended to mention this. Yeah, you have had some races that you haven't done well in, but I mean, you're still, finishing well ahead of most of the field. But I don't know if you're aware of this, but you are and have for a long time been really respected and admired for the fact that as an elite runner, you have had bad days and still soldiered on and finished. Whereas, especially these days, but really, even for the last sort of 10 or 15 years, we've seen other elite sponsored athletes, even when they might still be early in the race, but they just know they're having a bad day. And then they'll just step off the course and go, "No, I'm out," and be a DNF, rather than just go, "You know what, today's going to suck, but I'm just going to finish." So certainly in our running community in the Blue Mountains, you've always been respected for that. The fact that if we've been seeing, "Oh, how's Andy going?" It's like, "Oh no, he's having a really shit day," but then you never quit. It's like, and I thought it was funny because I was thinking about the fact that you're a North Face athlete and. Which and their logo or mantra is "Never stop exploring," and it was like never stop because when I was writing my notes the last couple of days, I was like, never gives up, and then it was like, "Oh, never gives up or never quits," and then I was like, and I was looking at a North Face poster at the time, it was like, "Never stop," no, that's it, it never stops,
No, I go into events like some days are rocks, some days are diamonds, but I always go in there to finish. That's me. And I've only one ultra I've withdrawn from, and I was in a pretty bad way. My leg, my knee, just had no range of movement in my knee. That was the unreasonable least.
Okay.
I finished at the halfway, 180k mark.
I was just going to say, were you doing the 200 miles?
Yeah. And but I felt, I just had my leg just could not move. I thought when I said to myself when I made the decision of I'm going to probably regret this later, knowing that I do I go into events, and I did for a little while, but then I just could not go on, and it is what it is. But that's the only race I haven't finished. Yeah.
And that's 20 years into your racing career, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So, I like to go into an event to finish it, good, bad, or indifferent, So, there's been some couple of not so good results, but I'll put it in perspective. There's a lot of worse things going on in the world, there's going to be better days. That's just part of the game, so to speak. As I just touched on, some days are rocks, some are diamonds. Just live and learn. Try not to let that bother you too much and get on with the next one.
Excellent. So you must have been lucky with injuries then over all those years.
Mainly. I've had a few niggles. I remember a couple of times I've had some plantar fascia issues. And I've got a funny story. Once I thought, for the life of me, I had a hernia issue. Went to the family doctor, and she looked at me as if I had two heads and said, "No, you don't have an issue there. I'll send you to the physio." I thought, what? I was expecting, that I'm going to have an operation to fix up the hernia and all this stuff, because every time I coughed, it was really hurting. Get these terrible pain, sharp pain, shooting pain. It was sneezed. It was just terrible. Getting out of bed. I had expecting to have surgery. And then she sent me to the physio, and I was just out of alignment, really.
Oh,
Yeah, just I was all
like your pelvis?
yeah,
Was
just
out of alignment?
just my hips, pelvis, you name it. So a few sessions with the physio sort of straightened me up, and then the pain went away. It was just the psoas muscle with me hip flexor just all seizing up, and that's what it was. But I'm sort of fearful of going to a physio or a doctor because if I do an ankle or a knee, telling me, oh, and you'll never be able to run again. I have some friends of mine who have had issues with knees and ankles and then be told they're never to run again, but they have run again. So I like to stay ahead of the game, so to speak, with looking after myself with regard to that body maintenance and strength and agility, mobility stuff as well.
So do you expect to still be running in another 20, 30 years?
I hope so.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
hope so. That's the plan. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping to.
Yeah.
We'll be
rolling
battling out the 80 to 85 age group.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Do they have that in 6 foot? Yeah.
Well,
any
actually,
events?
they have over 70s, so it would be interesting.
Yeah. No,
But then you might be going for, like you're going for the 50.
Yeah.
50th.
50 or 6 foot, yeah.
As long as we can finish under 7 hours.
Yeah. No, I still enjoy it as much as I did when I was a lot younger. I remember doing a little athletics. I used to love running then. I still do. Yeah.
I was going to mention that actually because so did you do your little A's at Nepean over at Blair Oval?
Yeah, I did at Nepean, at Blair Oval there, St Mary's. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we grew up in Emu Plains, and my mum was part of the committee that started Emu Plains Little A's. So when mum and the committee got that up and running, I joined up there at Emu. Did
it was easier than driving all the way to St
Mary's.
Yeah,
it was just
on
across
a Friday
the road.
Night.
Across the road there, and not Duke's Oval. Well, I think it's called Hunter Park, there, where the soccer ovals are.
Yeah.
We used to live there in Carey Street, right opposite. So it was just a very short walk. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, so that was very handy. Yeah.
I mean, it was good. I mean, I liked going and now I think about it, it must have been like, footy in winter and little A's in summer.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And cricket and all sorts of other activities going on across the park during the week with the kids up the street. Yeah. There's always something going on.
So you've done 14 UTA/North Face 100s now. What would your tips be for race day? Obviously now hay's in the barn. It's a bit late to be changing your training program, but what would be your best tips for race day?
Just relax and enjoy it. Like that's how my approach to those first few were just like, look, I just looked upon it as an event. I didn't know what to expect, and I just looked upon it as an adventure. Really did. As I mentioned earlier, 2 50-kilometre loops. Just get out there and have fun. And because I had that mindset, I went in really relaxed. Yeah, and just enjoyed it. Although with Stu that year, that was a bit stressful.
During the race.
Yeah. And also the next couple. I think the more I did it, the more I sort of get tense about it and worked up about it. And in hindsight, I don't think that helped. No excuses, but I found those early years, I was really relaxed going into them. Yeah, I didn't really give it too much thought either. As I said earlier, I just got lucky, I think. Yeah, my lead up to that, I didn't do much running either. Did the 6 foot in the 2009 one. My lead up to that was the 6 foot. And then a few weeks later, I went down and did the Canberra Marathon, but I didn't do much running apart from that. Maybe that's the secret. Don't do too much. Less is more. Less is more? Maybe. Yeah. Don't know.
Well, that was similar to what Ben Artop said, like he took the year off pretty much running and just did a lot of bush walking. And that,
So maybe there's some method to the madness there. Not that I was intentional, but yeah. Because I had a lot of things going on, like I was coaching my son's footy side and just family life, kids' school stuff, trying to squeeze in training. That's why I was doing those commute runs, which I still do from time to time these days, just to make everything work, in around family, work, and outdoor, just the kids' social lives, sport. Yeah.
Oh,
And I didn't really give it any thought. You just do it, Do whatever works.
And is your training program for this year's UTA 100, is it pretty much the same as you've been doing?
No, well, it's a bit
along,
different to those
how's
early
it
years.
changed?
So far, I've had a few good solid sort of sessions, like runs. So as I mentioned earlier, I did the Buffalo Stampede. I did the 10K there and the 42K, the 10K on the Friday, the marathon on the Sunday. So that was good back-to-back sort of solid runs there. Then the following week I did a run from Glenbrook to Allura. But
What's the distance of that?
56
Okay.
or something.
So up the Oaks.
Up the Oaks and Inga Trail.
And then Inga.
Then I did the
then
finish to the Fairmont.
Right, yep.
Yeah. So I pulled that out of the vault from the old 2010 days. 2010, yeah. 2000. And then I've been taking myself up to the Gross.
Okay.
Doing a few reps at the horse track.
Yeah.
Because I want to just I think I've got enough sort of endurance in me now with the Buffalo and the long run up to Lura. So now I just want to simulate some of the stairs, and I find that the Gross Valley is better for that than the actual course, the UTA course itself. Just with the steepness, the profile, the elevation profile in there, in getting in and out of the Gross. It just really packs a punch. There's no easy way out of the Gross. So I've done a few horse track sessions.
So like how you're doing repeats?
I did a couple of reps last week, and then including a loop of the Green Canyon. So that was good, and getting a lot of stairs in. And yesterday I went up there, did from the horse track down in the valley, down the horse track, across the valley, up Perry's, down Perry's, up to Lockleys, back down Lockleys, and back up horse.
Yeah, some vert in that run.
Yeah, so that was a good solid session. Yeah, 30 Ks or so, and over 2,000 metres of elevation. So that was a good solid. So that had a lot of stairs, obviously, with Perry's and the horse track and Lockleys. So that was good. So hopefully now that'll give me enough sort of strength and conditioning for the stairs, the final, I guess, that last third of the UTA, because I've struggled along there in recent years, and then sort of faltered somewhat after that. So I just want to try and get stronger through there. So
is this will you start easing down off?
Yeah, that's pretty much it now. I did a run this morning down in the Glenbrook National Park, but that are pretty much, I'll just start backing everything off now. Intensity.
It's a road run now, though.
Hey?
It's a road run.
I know,
now,
it is, sadly. I can understand why parks have done that, but on the other, it's a bit disappointing. It's essentially a road run now, except for Bennett Ridge. That's pretty much the only, and a little bit up near Mount Portal at the top there, but yeah, it is.
Actually, speaking of road and climbs and vert, you've got a fairly consistent run that you do repeats out at Mount Riv.
Oh, yes.
It's a fairly steep road, hill.
Yeah.
And you've done that for many years now.
Yeah.
So do you find that's good for strength, for hill strength, or do you find that's actually speed work in disguise, that one?
Yeah, both. Yep, both. It's funny how I've discovered that hill, by the way, Emu Plains Road. One of my eldest son or daughters went to a birthday party there. I dropped them off, when they're 8 or 9 or something. And then I thought, this would be a good hill for training. So I went back there a week or two later, and the rest is history.
Found it was a good hill for training.
Yeah, and that I did, and that was around 2007, 2008, and then I only used to do the street part.
Yep.
And then there's a trail bit down, So then for that 2009 6 foot, I started training there for that. That was my hill training. And
Just from like the gate, like there at the bottom of the street up to the top, or
no,
or is that when you started to do run down into the bush as well?
Yeah, so early on in the program, so to speak, I'd just do the road bit, a few reps of that, and then slowly build up, and then eventually get all the way down to the bottom of the dirt bit, trail section, and that's 1 kilometre, turn around and just come back up. There'd be sort of no rest, just get down, up, 6 or 7 times. And that's what, 14% gradient, that hill.
Yeah.
So it's a good workout, yeah. But I used to do that roughly every 2 weeks because it takes a little while to recover from.
Do you mix it up to say that some weeks you're going hard down and thrashing your quads and then taking it easy going up and vice versa? Yeah.
Then other times I'd combine both.
And just be flat out, like going hard the whole time.
Yeah, but I wouldn't do as many reps.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But other times I'll just go down slow, push it up hard and vice versa. Yep. Well, for a harder session, I'll just do the road bit and just go, because it's not as steep. The trail section's the steep part.
Right.
Although, even though the road section is relatively steep, but the trail section's steeper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know because most of the time when I've done it, which is not anywhere near as many times as you, I've only gone down into the bush a couple of times, so I can't really recall it.
Yeah, no, it's steeper.
Okay, even steeper.
Yeah.
The 1K is the way to go.
Yeah, that's so. But again, I built up for that. I'd get to say 8 to 10 reps of the road section, and then before I started going down into the dirt, into the trail section as well, and that would just be accumulative as well. So I'd go down just an extra 100 meters 1 week, and then an extra 200 meters, and just slowly build up. Yeah, then reaching to say 6-7 reps of the full distance.
So, what's a typical week look like for you? Don't have to give me each run, but say 4 to 6 weeks out. What sort of mileage are you hitting for the week?
It varies, Rob. Like now, like the last few weeks haven't been massive. For example, because I know, like having done that Buffalo weekend and the run up to Lura. I think I've got enough. I'm quite confident actually that I've got enough endurance in me, and I'm worried too if I do increase my weekly mileage, I'll overdo it, overtrain, get too fatigued. I've done that before as well, so it's just a matter of if I hadn't have done those runs, I probably would have put more mileage into the week. So my maximum week's probably been 120 or so. Yeah, in this recent UTA campaign, but only because I've done like that Buffalo weekend and the Lura run, and then backed up by some Gross Valley sessions. I've done 1 or 2 Mount Solitary, just to the eastern col. As in amongst all that as well. So been getting in, and I've a couple of corporate cup runs in there. So I think I've got enough endurance in me and strength. I think, So now I'll just start backing off now. Yeah. See what happens.
Yeah. Do you have a time in mind, or are you just
no? Again, like I said earlier, I'm just gonna do the best I can do, and hopefully that'll bring me a really good result. That's I've had some results in the last couple of years, pretty disappointing. So I want to make amends. And
okay.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of a fire in the belly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Just myself, like it's Yeah, I know, because I know I can do a lot better than
Mhm.
what I've put out there the last couple of years. Yeah, and that's what disappoints me. I just know I can do better. And it's no disrespect to many people out there who I think every person actually who toes the line. Someone told me the other day, "Oh, I wonder how the elite people are going to go," or asked me. You know, I said, "Well, we're all, you're elite. We're all elite toeing that line. You think about there's only there's only a few hundred or 1,000 people doing this any particular event, ultra event, which is only a tiny percentage of the population.
Mm.
So from that perspective, I think we're all elite, in that regard.
But I like the idea. I
Yeah.
like that you share sort of my thoughts that even at our age, we can still do better.
Oh yeah,
Not saying,
yeah,
you're going to be as fast as you were,
yeah,
20 years ago, but I'm trying to push
yeah,
against that idea that, we're on the downhill
yeah,
slide now and
yeah.
can't compete with
Oh look, I don't expect
previous.
to replicate times and results I've done years ago, but I just know that I'm within myself. I'm better. I can do better. Have better days and results and stuff. And that's I just want to get the best out of myself in that
Mhm.
regard, and I know I can, but I just got to nail it, and put myself in the best position I think I can to do that. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Will you take it easy out of the blocks?
Again, who knows? Wait and see. I've gone out there like too quick in the past, and I remember in 2011, oh, I went out way too quick. I got a bit carried away that year. Um, what's his name come out? Oh, Killian
Killian,
come
yeah.
out. Ran with him for a while. That was pretty good, actually, in hindsight. Um, yeah, and then he he made me look like a pack-a-day smoker. Yeah, yeah. So that was interesting. He passed. He will running for a fair while, out along Narrow Neck and then down Medley Gap, and then not long after Medley Gap, or just actually when we were descending down the end of beyond the Tara's Lattice before Medley Gap. That's when it was like that was the last I saw him. And then so that was good, but just to run with him for a while.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, that's a special memory because, I mean, he's probably going to end up being considered, if he's not already, the greatest of all time. Like,
Yeah,
I'm very excited that he's towing the line at Western States this year with a number of other, top class runners. I think they're saying it's going to be the best field
yeah. I've seen that. Yeah,
ever.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm very excited about this year's
yeah,
Western States
yeah,
to see
yeah.
how he goes.
We'll have to get him back out here for UTA.
Yeah, well, maybe now that we got a miler because he thought that the 100 course was just too flat.
Maybe Summit Gear can bring him out.
I don't know. I can afford him, but anyway, we can see. We can see.
Yeah.
We do sell his shoes.
Yeah.
So, good luck with.
Thanks,
I
Rob.
hope you have a really, really
Yeah.
enjoyable
Yeah,
run this year.
yeah.
So, what do you consider is your favourite run in the Blue Mountains? Not race, but just
Oh, well, lately it's been going up to the Gross.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed it up there, and more. I've been, as I just touched on it, been up there in recent weeks, and I think that's really grown on me, the Gross, and it's beautiful. I can relax when I'm down in the valley there. It's just plus it's easy. Oh, you don't have to worry about the hustle and bustle, parking, getting a parking spot. You have to do in Katoomba. There's no. It's just beautiful. It's raw. It's rugged. It's just I love that part of the mountains more so than say the Katoomba Jamison Valley side, which is, don't get me wrong, that's very pretty. I love running in there, but I just prefer the Gross. I used to love running in the Glenrock National Park, but since they've they sealed up a lot of those roads. It's not as enjoyable anymore, as you alluded to a moment ago. It's a bit of a road running there now, but still, I'd still enjoy it, but nowhere near as much as I used to. But yeah, just getting in and out of the Gross Valley, I love those. And no matter which sort of way you do it, or which, whether you're going from, say, come in on Mountain Hay Road down to Lockleys and across to Perry's, or vice versa, or like I've been doing recently, the horse track, that sort of, I've done this loop a couple of times, horse track, up Perry's, then up the top of the ridge line, then back to Govert's Leap, and then finish back at Evans Lookout there.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good loop, plenty of bang for your buck there. Yeah. I think you guys do that in your run club. Yeah, I've seen. So I'll have to come up and join you. I really enjoy it up there.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to have you along.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So no.
Well, we'll do more sessions ahead of Hounslow.
Yeah.
So
well, I want to do that too, Hounslow, which I think's a week after 6 foot.
It might be actually.
But I won't let that perturb me, because I do enjoy Hounslow. I haven't done that for a few years. Did the inaugural one back when
in 2016.
No, 2015. When, I think it was about 70 odd k's or so when we started at Govert's Leap, and we went down Grand Canyon, down Rodriguez Pass. Then we went back up to the back up to Govert's Leap, which is now closed, I think.
Yeah. As is Rodriguez.
Yeah. So that was pretty brutal. Yeah. And then down Perry's, up Lockleys, out to the Pinnacles, turned around there at Mount Hay Road there, and then back. Yeah. Did you do that year?
No,
I know your brother did. I know Sean.
Yeah, well, he took my entry because I was I had entered it because remember there was also going to be special stuff if you were in the inaugural year. Then Sean was going to look after us for every year after that. Like you were going to have, I don't know, I can't remember. It was like, you'd maintain your race beard or whatever. Yeah. Like there was a number of things. It was like if you got in on the very first year, then you were sort of like locked in. And so I'd registered, and then I tore both my pecs at Parramatta Park one day doing something stupid. And and so then Sean at the time, he was still playing like Masters footy and that, and he got into obstacle racing, but he hadn't done any like trail running. He goes, you reckon I could take your entry? And I said, yeah. So, and he's been doing trail running ever since now, and it's got into milers and all sorts of ultras, but which is good. So
I remember seeing Sean. I was going back down Lockleys, and he was coming up. Yeah, I remember. I can't remember what he said, but he remarked something to me. Yeah,
it was a 67k run.
67, there you go. Yeah,
back then.
Yeah. When as I said, I saw him coming up, and I was going down Lockleys. It was hot. That sort of eastern side of the valley in the afternoon, you get the afternoon
getting all the sun.
Coming down. It was pretty hot, and he was as a lot of others were, including myself, sweat was just erupting with that. It got pretty warm that afternoon. I do remember. Yeah, that certainly packed a punch, that course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, but a lot to get back there and do it. I think the following year I did the shorter one. That's when they started at Orville, which I think is where they start and finish it now.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, but that was the short one. But we went Grand Canyon down Rodriguez, up to Govert's that way. Yeah, and then across to Orview, which I think now they don't go down at all, do they, into the valley? It's just like pretty much across to the Grand Canyon and back again.
Oh, well, they still, I think you still do Lockleys.
No, the short one.
The short, the 17,
They don't go down to the valley anymore. Yeah. But no, I'll see. I'll like to do that, give that another crack.
Have you got any like absolute bucket list races that you'd like to have a crack at?
Yeah, I'd like to go to Europe and do, UTMB, for example. One of those. I or the UTMB itself, or the associated events. Over there.
Like the OCC or
Yeah,
CCC or something?
yeah. So, I've got to pull my finger out and do something about that. I'd like to do that in the next few years, definitely. Yeah. So if anything, I'd love to do that. Like Leadville was fantastic. I would like to go back there again one day, but if I got a choice, I would like to go over to Europe.
Go to Chamonix.
Yeah. One, it looks amazing, and two, no doubt it'll be an absolute challenge. Yeah, just like to give that a crack. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think that's the number one on a lot of people's
Yeah.
bucket list. It's considered like the world champs these days, isn't it? Like the pinnacle.
Yeah. Yeah, but Aussies, a couple of Aussies have done well over the years too. Like Andrew Tucker, I think, had the best ever result by an Aussie too. I think over there, 2014 or 15, I think.
Don't know.
Yeah. So, not suggesting I'll be able to replicate that, but I'd just love to go over there and do something like
be amongst it, experience it. Yeah,
for sure.
It's certainly amazing when you see
an amazing
the crowds.
Yeah.
Even I was listening to something through last week. They were talking about Western States only has like 370 entrants, but they have 1,500 volunteers.
Yeah, wow.
You go, wow, like that's good catering. So, for the runners, it's pretty special as well.
Probably one of those events where you put on weight. I remember doing a Eurobilla ultra marathon in South Australia. That's a great event. I really enjoyed that too. When did I do that? 2014, and some of the aid stations there was just a smorgasbord, and it was like, wow, you can actually put on weight doing this race if you're not careful. The offerings that were at the aid stations was unreal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the volunteers were fantastic. Yeah.
Well, Tarawera, you would have found that was a bit similar to lots of food on
that was good.
On offer and pizzas at the aid stations and stuff.
Yeah, that was good too. That was another good event. Yeah, very hospitable people at all the aid stations and that even before and after the event, it was really good to be a part of. Yeah.
Yeah, there's certainly something to be said for race week in a race town.
Yeah.
It's just such a good vibe, and there's a whole lot of really excited and
for sure.
Excitedly nervous people. But, it's like you can just see all these fit people just wherever you go.
I know. It's,
it helps add to the atmosphere and the vibe of the place.
I think so. Yeah.
We'll get that in a couple of weeks in Katoomba.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that certainly comes alive, doesn't it? That week. Yeah, it's certainly grown a lot since the early days of it when it started at the Fairmont, which I still miss in a lot of ways.
Do you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
From a nostalgic perspective, I do, but I remember finishing, and obviously I was a bit behind you, a few hours behind you, but you'd come in and there'd be someone who's like just shine a torch on you and go, call out your race number, and there'd be like 4 people and someone with a cowbell, because everyone else is inside because it's freezing cold. And just out in the back.
Campfire. Oh, not campfire. Sorry, the big
like a fire pit.
Fire pit inside, didn't they? Yeah.
Oh yeah, the big fire. Yes, in the main
chimney,
bar or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where everyone would be inside, and there'd be like half a dozen people on the outside, and you come in. Whereas now, coming up that finish chute for the scenic world it's something pretty special for everyone.
Yeah,
no matter what your time.
Yeah, but I did like the old course. I don't mind this one. I actually think this one's a bit harder. The current, which has now been in place for 8 years or so. Because back in those days, the stairs, which are now the third part of the race, we used to get them over and done with in the first part when you were fresh, from the Fairmont across to the Golden Stairs.
Mm-hmm.
That was all done in the first part, which is now.
Yeah, that's right. You'd hit the top of the Golden Stairs and you'd be 11 or 12 k's in.
Yeah, maybe a bit longer, but with fresh legs.
Yeah.
With no distance in your legs or elevation in them. We're fresh as a daisy, excited still. But now, like, it's you get to the aquatic centre, and then that's when it all, or pretty much from the giant stairs down. It's from there. You've got like you're only 1/3 into the event, less than that actually. Yeah, and a lot of climbing to get ahead of you. So if you can get that part of the race in good condition, you can hold yourself. You can hold up well. But that's all part of the battle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Get there in one condition.
Yeah.
That's what I think is going to be interesting with the miler guys. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. That first section.
Yeah, that's very tough. That first 60 Ks, some people are saying, might even be harder than the next 100.
Getting down and out of the gross, you want to get in and out of there in one piece.
Yeah.
With plenty of running still in the legs. Be interesting to see how that all unfolds.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, thanks, Andy. I think I've taken up more than enough of your time already,
worries,
so
mate.
this has been really wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No problems, mate.
Andrew Lee, thank you very much.
Thanks, Rob. Cheers.
All right, see you.